You wake up one day, roll over in bed, and for a second you realize something horrifying. The woman next to you looks the same, but she doesn't feel the same. You built a life with her. You gave her your loyalty, your effort, your name, your children. You sacrificed weekends, sleep, dreams, so the two of you could have something solid, something real. And yet now, there's a chill in the room that the heater can't touch. She's there, but she's not really there. Her laugh is rare. Her eyes don't linger on you like they used to. Her phone lights up more than her face does. You can't point to the exact moment it shifted, but somewhere along the road from 30 to 40, the woman you married started fading. The version of her you knew, the girl who smiled at you like you were her whole world, has been replaced by someone you don't quite recognize. Someone distant, irritated, restless. And the most painful part? You know, deep in your gut, you didn't suddenly become a monster. You went to work. You paid the bills. You stayed faithful. You did what a man is supposed to do. But now it feels like none of that counts. Like there's some invisible scoreboard you never knew about, and you're losing a game you didn't even realize you were playing. Men everywhere are living this exact nightmare. One day she's the steady partner you trusted, the woman who said, "forever," with tears in her eyes. The next, she's chasing attention like a teenager with Wi-Fi and too much free time. And here's the part that rips you open. It's not always about you. In fact, most of the time, it isn't. That's the dirty secret no one prepares men for. We tell men, be loyal, be stable, be a provider, be there. You do all that, and then one day she starts to drift, not because you suddenly failed, but because something inside her snapped, shifted, woke up, or broke. This isn't a random glitch in the matrix. It's a pattern, a brutal cycle baked into biology, psychology, and a culture that lies to both of you. For most of her life, whether she admits it or not, she was taught a simple formula. If she is beautiful, she is valuable. If she is desired, she matters. From the moment she hit her teens, the world handed her this equation. The looks, the stares, the double takes, the lingering glances in bars, malls, offices, gyms. Every compliment wasn't just kindness. It was proof. Proof she existed. Proof she was special. Proof she had power. Attention was her currency, and for 20+ years, the market was booming. Men orbited her. Strangers smiled at her. Doors opened. Eyes followed. She didn't have to think about it. It was just there, like air. She mattered because she was wanted. But biology is a cruel accountant. Around 40, the silent bill starts to come due. Her reflection becomes less forgiving. The smoothness softens. The glow dims. The world stops reacting to her the way it used to. The compliments thin out. The casual stares become rare. The easy, automatic validation she built her identity on starts drying up. This isn't just about vanity or a wrinkle in the mirror. It's about a fracture in her sense of self. If your entire life you've been told, you are your beauty, what happens when that beauty begins to fade? What happens when the power that walked into every room with you starts slipping away? It's like an athlete whose whole identity is built around performance. Crowds cheering, trophies, highlights. Then one day, his body slows down. He's still good, but he's not that guy anymore. Now multiply that identity crisis by 10. Because for a lot of women, especially in this culture, beauty isn't just a part of life. It is life. It's the main story, not a side character. So when time starts stripping that role away, panic sets in. Not always loud panic. Sometimes it's quiet, masked as boredom, irritability, drama. I just need something more. It's not really about skincare. It's not really about a new haircut. It's about desperately trying to outrun the truth. I'm not who I used to be, and I don't know who I am without that version of me. Instead of accepting this new season with grace, many women go to war with reality. They don't want to accept that the currency of youth is losing value, so they do what addicts do when the dose stops working: they chase a stronger hit. At 20, a passing compliment was nothing, background noise. At 40, that same compliment is oxygen. You tell her she's beautiful, but you're the husband. You're supposed to say that. She files your words in the obligated folder in her mind. But when another man says it, a coworker, A trainer. A stranger online. That hits different. He doesn't owe her anything. He doesn't have to notice. So when he does, her brain lights up like a slot machine hitting 777s. Suddenly, your consistent devotion feels dull. Predictable. Safe doesn't spike dopamine. Novelty does. And that's the dangerous shift. It stops being about you as a man and starts being about her addiction to feeling visible again. To feeling like she still has it. To feeling like someone out there sees her as exciting, not just as a wife, a mom, a woman, holding it together. This is where so many men get blindsided. They think years of loyalty, mortgage payments, kids' birthdays, anniversaries, and sacrifice act like some force field against betrayal. But her brain isn't doing moral math. It's doing chemical math. Where do I feel most alive? Who makes me feel young again? Where do I still feel wanted? And you, the stable husband, the man who shows up, slowly fades into the background of her nervous system. You become the furniture. Reliable. Solid. Necessary. But not exciting. And once her nervous system starts chasing excitement over stability, you are no longer her sanctuary. You are her reminder that time has passed. That's the shift men have to understand, no matter how painful it is to look at. You have to understand something most men never see until it's already too late. Once a woman in her late 30s or early 40s begins slipping into that identity crisis, the world around her doesn't calm her down. It doesn't ground her. It doesn't remind her of her vows, her family, or the life she built. No, modern culture pours gasoline on her fear and calls the fire empowerment. Because the moment that panic creeps in, she doesn't sit quietly and examine herself. She looks outward for confirmation, for justification, for someone to whisper, "You're right. You deserve more." And the world is ready to scream that lie straight into her soul. Magazines tell her she's a queen being held back. Talk shows tell her suffering is noble, leaving is brave. Influencers preach that the root of all her unhappiness is the very structure she helped build. Marriage, responsibility, motherhood, devotion. Every message points her in the same direction. Run. Don't reflect. Don't stay. Don't fight for what's yours. Run toward the fantasy. And when she's vulnerable, when she's terrified of losing the currency of youth, she listens. She absorbs those messages like scripture. Because they don't tell her she's aging, they tell her she's evolving. They don't tell her the truth, that her fear is normal. They tell her her fear is enlightenment. And suddenly the life she once cherished starts looking like a trap. But the most dangerous influence doesn't come from media. It comes from the new circle she builds around herself. Almost every man who lives through this pattern will recognize the same shift. As she nears 40, new friends appear. And nearly always they are divorced. Bitter. Loudly independent. Women who blew up their own families and now need recruits to validate the fallout of their choices. These women don't talk about loyalty or accountability. They don't talk about the nights they cry alone in empty houses or the way their kids stopped trusting them. They don't talk about regret. They talk about freedom. They glamorize escape. They glorify chaos. They hand your wife a wine glass and tell her she's been oppressed without even knowing it. Your wife sits there listening, laughing, sipping, and something shifts behind her eyes. Suddenly, normal responsibilities become burdens. Your marriage becomes controlling. Your expectations become emotional labor. She walks into the room with you afterward and sees not her partner, not her teammate, but the symbol of her supposed captivity. And then comes the small, subtle changes. The hair appointments, the new clothes that don't match her age, the gym sessions she used to shrug off. You want to be supportive because you love her. But deep down, you feel the tremor beneath the surface. It's not about self-care. It's not about health. It's about competition with time itself. She's not trying to look good. She's trying to look young. She's trying to outrun the mirror. Social media becomes her new stage. Suddenly she's posting more, angling her photos just right, chasing likes the way a starving person chases crumbs. Every like is a spark. Every compliment is a hit. Every message is a reminder she still has options. And that's when the emotional withdrawal begins. The "I need space." The "I need time to find myself." The, "I'm just not happy and I don't know why." You feel her slipping and you try harder. You take her out. You show affection. You plan something special. But she processes it as routine, as maintenance, as the behavior of a predictable man locked into a predictable life. It doesn't matter that you love her. It doesn't matter that you're loyal. Novelty has become her god, and you cannot compete with a religion built on dopamine. And here's the cutting truth. She doesn't need constant attention from many men. It only takes one. One man to spark the fantasy. One man to trigger the chemical storm. A coworker, a trainer, an old flame sliding back into her messages. Someone who compliments her hair, notices her laugh, tells her she seems different lately. That's all it takes. Because now she has a face to attach to the fantasy. It's no longer, "I could still get attention if I wanted." It becomes, "He finds me irresistible." And once that illusion takes root, the marriage you built doesn't feel like a home. It feels like a cage. This is where the rewrite begins. The most devastating part. She won't just drift emotionally. She won't just flirt with the fantasy. No, she will rewrite the entire history of your marriage to justify what she's about to do. The vacations? The anniversaries? The laughter? Pretending. She will take years of devotion and repaint them as years of misery. Not because it's true, but because she needs it to be true. Otherwise, she'd have to confront the unbearable reality that she is about to destroy her own family because she can't handle feeling invisible. When that switch flips in her mind, she doesn't become evil, she becomes terrified. And in that terror, she becomes capable of detonating everything. Your peace, your home, your security, your future, just to feel a spark again. She thinks she's reclaiming her life. She doesn't see she's burning it down. There's a moment, every man who's lived through this will recognize it, when her nostalgia turns from harmless reminiscing into something dangerous. It's subtle at first. She talks about her past with a softness you haven't heard in years. Old boyfriends she once mocked suddenly become important chapters. Wild nights she used to regret are now fun memories. She speaks about that younger version of herself like she's mourning someone who died. But that girl didn't die. She aged. And she can't accept that. So she clings to her past like a life raft. She imagines a timeline where she stayed young, stayed desired, stayed full of possibility. A timeline where she didn't trade freedom for stability. Where she didn't become a wife, a mother, an adult with responsibilities. You listen to her talk, and every word feels like she's stepping 1 inch further away from the life you built. That nostalgia, that glimmer in her eyes, that quiet ache when she says, "I miss who I used to be," that's the smoke before the fire. Because nostalgia is never about the past. It's about dissatisfaction with the present. And once that dissatisfaction takes root, the soil is ready for something more toxic to grow. It never starts with men in general. That's the lie people tell themselves to stay blind. It always starts with one. One man. One voice. One compliment. One presence that shifts the internal chemistry she's been fighting against. He can be anyone. A coworker she sees every day, a trainer at the gym, a married friend, an old classmate who slides into her DMs with a harmless, "Hey, long time no see." He doesn't have to do much. He doesn't have to seduce her, pursue her, or even intend anything serious. All he has to do is notice her. "Nice haircut. You look different. I always liked your laugh." Words that would mean nothing from you hit her like a jolt straight to the spine. Because you're the husband. You're expected. You're routine. But he is novelty. He is possibility. He is evidence that she still has power left in the expiration date she fears is coming. And now her fantasy has a face. Now her longing has a direction. Now her internal crisis has a target. This is when she guards her phone like it holds the nuclear codes. She tilts the screen. She sets new passwords. She laughs at messages she never shows you. She steps into the hallway to reply. She suddenly has meetings and errands and time to clear her mind. You feel it before you know it. Your chest tightens. Your instincts scream. You reach out to her and she pulls away emotionally, even if she physically stays. That's because she's no longer comparing you to the world. She's comparing you to the fantasy she's building with him. And no real man can compete with a fantasy. This is where men start trying to fix things. They apologize more. They try harder. They take blame they don't deserve. They seek couples therapy. They bend and twist to prove they're still the man she chose years ago. But none of that works. Not because you're not enough, but because she's already writing a new story. Once a woman decides she wants out, she has to justify it. She can't leave the marriage as it truly was, stable, meaningful, filled with good moments and mutual effort. If she acknowledged that, she would have to admit the truth. She is destroying a good thing for a temporary rush. So she rewrites history. She erases joy and paints misery. She magnifies every flaw you ever had. She invents new ones if she must. She says she was unhappy for years, even though just 12 months ago she was posting pictures from your anniversary calling you her soulmate. She tells friends, therapists, and eventually your children that the marriage was broken. She has to believe it, because the alternative, that she blew up her life because she couldn't handle aging, would crush her under the weight of her own choices. This is the stage where the betrayal goes deeper than cheating. Cheating is a wound, but the rewrite, that is the amputation of everything you built together. The memories don't survive. The history doesn't survive. You don't survive, not as the man you were, but as the man she now needs you to be so she can feel innocent. She casts herself as the protagonist. She paints you as the villain. And she does it with conviction so strong you start questioning your own reality. But the shrapnel doesn't just hit you. It tears into your children. She tells herself they'll understand someday. That kids are resilient. That what matters most is her happiness. But children don't care about their parents' happiness. They care about safety. They care about unity. They care about bedtime routines, familiar walls, and mom and dad sitting at the same table. Her crisis burns right through all of it. Kids end up in split homes, adjusting to new boyfriends, new schedules, new houses. They grow up confused, carrying wounds she refuses to see. Because in her mind, she's not detonating anything. She's starting fresh. She's finding herself. She's choosing happiness. She doesn't realize she's gambling with the emotional foundation of her children. And when the fantasy fails, as it always does, when the attention fades, when the new man loses interest, when the novelty dies, she will look around at the wreckage and still won't admit the truth. Because admitting the truth means accepting responsibility. And responsibility is the one thing she was trying to escape all along. There's a truth most people are too afraid to say out loud. Men and women both age, both change, both face the slow erosion of time. But they don't face it the same way, and they don't pay the same price. A man hits 40 and the world tells him he's entering his prime. Salt and pepper hair becomes attractive. Experience becomes charm. Stability becomes power. Even if he never acts on it, he knows, deep in his bones, that he could still attract someone if he wanted to. That knowledge settles him. It steadies him. It calms the storm. But a woman hits 40, and the world sends her the opposite message. Not that she's entering wisdom. Not that she's maturing. Not that she's blooming into a deeper, richer self. No, she's told she's losing value. That she's invisible. That she's past her peak. Every birthday after 35 feels like a countdown she can't stop. Every wrinkle whispers that she's fading. Every younger woman she sees becomes a reminder of what she used to be. It's not vanity, it's survival. It's not pride, it's identity. And when that identity begins to crack, the panic is brutal. A man buys a motorcycle or joins a gym. A woman sets fire to her entire life. That's why her midlife crisis looks like destruction, because it's not about adventure or thrills. It's about erasing the reflection she can't bear to see. She doesn't want a new life. She wants a new timeline, a reset button, a fantasy where she never aged, never settled, never lost the currency that made the world bend for her. So she makes the one move that feels within her control. She destroys the structure that reminds her she's no longer 25. She walks away from the marriage, the home, the man who stayed, the children who depended on her consistency. And then the final transformation begins, the rewrite. The psychological escape hatch. The story she crafts to survive the guilt. She will swear she was unhappy for years. She will insist you were controlling, unloving, cold. She will redefine every memory to match the new narrative. She has to, because if she doesn't, she has to face the real reason she left. Not lack of love, not abuse, not incompatibility, but fear. Fear of aging, fear of invisibility, fear of becoming ordinary. And fear is a terrible architect. It builds ruins, not homes. Men who experience this always say the same thing. She turned into someone I didn't recognize. That's because you didn't lose your wife. You lost the version of her that existed before she went to war with time. You lost the version that felt secure in her identity. And here's the blow that hits the hardest. Once she becomes that new person, she isn't coming back. You can love her. You can fight for her. You can stay loyal. You can sacrifice everything. None of it matters. Because you're not fighting a marital problem, you're fighting an existential crisis. A storm inside her mind that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the mirror she's trying to outrun. Your presence doesn't comfort her. It reminds her of responsibility. It reminds her of stability. It reminds her of the years that passed and the youth she cannot reclaim. You become the symbol of the life she wants to escape. A living reminder of the woman she fears she has become. And no man, not even the strongest, most loyal, most loving man, can win a war against a fear that lives in her bones. So what can you do? Not to save her, because that's no longer your job, but to save yourself. You have to recognize the signs before the explosion. The obsession with youth. The sudden resentment of responsibility. The growing hunger for attention. The nostalgia for her reckless years. The secretive phone. The emotional detachment. These are not random quirks. They are cracks in the wall. They are the signal the bomb is armed. And when it explodes, it won't just destroy her life. It will drag yours into the fire too. It will drag your children into the crossfire. Years of loyalty reduced to ash. The world will tell you to work harder, be more patient, communicate better, be more emotional, be more empathetic. But none of that fixes a psychological collapse. You cannot heal someone who is determined to reinvent themselves by burning everything they built with you. Yet here's the sobering twist. Not every woman becomes this. Some grow wiser with age. Some embrace maturity. Some understand that beauty fades, but character doesn't. Some value the man who chose them and the family they built. Some hold loyalty above dopamine. Some protect what matters instead of chasing what glitters. But those women are rare now. Culture doesn't reward them. Culture calls them old-fashioned. Culture tells them they're settling. Culture tells them happiness is more important than responsibility. Culture trains them to choose chaos over commitment. So here's the truth every man needs to hear. If your wife is approaching 40, don't look for signs of cheating. Look for signs of panic. Because panic is the fuse. And once the fuse is lit, the explosion is inevitable. Women over 40 who fall into this psychological spiral don't just leave. They destroy. Not because they're evil, but because they're terrified. Terrified of time. Terrified of irrelevance. Terrified of disappearing. And in that terror, they will sacrifice everything. Their marriage, their stability, their children's trust. Just to feel special one more time. You can't stop the bomb once it's armed. All you can do is prepare for the impact. And never, ever lie to yourself about the signs.